Welcome to Roma's Voice Library. We're back with a fat book called The World's Best Fairy Tales. And the one I'm reading out to you today is called Rapunzel. This is a story about a girl. I'm not giving it in. We're just gonna have to find out through the story what happens and who Rapunzel really was. Shall we start? Once upon a time, a man and his wife were very unhappy because they had no children. These good people had a little window at the back of their house which looked into the most lovely garden full of all manner of beautiful flowers and vegetables. But the garden was surrounded by a high wall and no one dared to enter it, for it belonged to a witch who possessed great power and who was feared by the whole world. Better be careful. One day, the woman stood at the window overlooking the garden and saw there a bed full of finest salad greens called rampion. The leaves looked so fresh and green that she longed to eat them. The desire grew day by day, and just because she knew she couldn't possibly get any, she pined away and became pale and wretched. Then her husband grew alarmed and said, "What ails you, dear wife?" "Oh," she answered, "if I don't get any rampion to eat from the garden behind the house, I know I shall die." Wow, the old lady seems a little dramatic. The man who loved her dearly said to himself, "Come, rather than let your wife die, you shall pick her some rampion, no matter what the cost." So at dusk, he climbed over the wall into the witch's garden and hastily gathering a handful of rampion leaves, he returned with them to his wife. She made them into a salad, which tasted so good that her longing for the forbidden food was greater than ever. If she were to know any peace of mind, there was nothing for it but that her husband must climb over the garden wall again and fetch her some more. Again at dusk, over he went, but when he reached the other side, he drew back in horror, for there, standing before him, was the old witch. Wow, this was a little selfish behavior on the part of the old man, don't you think? Jumping across, going into somebody else's garden just to get rampion leaves. I wonder what the witch is going to say to him. Let's see. "How dare you," she said, with a wrathful glance, "climb into my garden and steal my rampion like a common thief? You shall suffer greatly for your rashness." "Oh," he implored, "please forgive my boldness. Necessity alone drove me to the deed. My wife saw your rampion from her window and had such a desire for it that she would certainly have died if her wish had not been gratified." Then the witch's anger was a little appeased, and she said, "If it's as you say, you may take as much rampion away with you as you like, but on one condition only, that you give me the child your wife will shortly bring into the world. All shall go well with it, and I will look after her like a mother." The man, in his terror, agreed to everything she asked. As soon as the child was born, the witch appeared and, having given it the name of Rapunzel, which in that country means the same as rampion, she carried it off with her. Rapunzel was the most beautiful child under the sun. When she was 12 years old, the witch shut her up in a tower in the middle of a great forest, and the tower had neither stairs nor doors, only high up at the very top a small window. When the old witch wanted to visit the girl, she stood underneath and called out, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your golden hair." For Rapunzel had wonderful long hair, and it was as fine as spun gold. Whenever she heard the witch's voice, she loosened her braids and let her hair fall down out of the window. This became a ladder for the old witch to climb straight up to the top of the tower. It's a great idea, don't you think so? After they lived like this for a few years, it happened one day that a prince was riding through the woods and passed by the tower. As he drew near it, he heard someone singing so sweetly that he stood spellbound and listened. It was Rapunzel, in her loneliness, trying to while away the time by letting her sweet voice fill her solitude. The prince longed to see the owner of the voice, but he sought in vain for a door in the tower. He rode home, but he was so haunted by the song he had heard that he returned every day to the woods and listened. One day, when he was standing thus behind a tree, he saw the old witch approach and heard her call out, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your golden hair." Then Rapunzel let down her braids and the witch climbed up by them. "So that's the staircase, is it?" asked the prince. "Then I, too, will climb it and try my luck." Well, now that the prince is going to try his luck, we're going to find out what exactly happens. Do you think Rapunzel is going to understand that it doesn't sound like the witch and still let down her hair? Or is the witch going to find the prince?